Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Brian. We're going to wrap this week up, this week of random songs with no connection thematically between any of them, with a track that I have no idea what I'm getting into. It comes off of a 1995 album and seems to be a collaboration between Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan and Michael Brook. I have no idea who either of those two people are. The track is called Longing. Let's dive into it and see what they're bringing to the table today. A little bit of like some country Americana in here. Taking their time setting this mood. Bringing this idea back. We had it at the very beginning of the intro. Oh, an expansion on it actually this time around.
नहीं लगता दिल मेरा ढोलना तेरे बिन नहीं लगता दिल मेरा ढोलना तेरे बिन नहीं लगता दिल मेरा ढोलना.
Okay, that's a neat idea. We have so many layers here. The guitars, the harmonica, the vocals. Very light drumming. Sounds like we have some sort of brushes. We have some hand drums coming in now. We have multiple vocals coming in too. Okay, so that's interesting too. We've heard two different vocal delivery patterns here. Random accordion, electric guitar. And we got the bass over here with the little punctuating lick over there. Interesting production on this too. Feels like there's a ton of reverb on the vocals now. Oh, that what? It's not just me. That was the middle of an idea, right? We were in the middle of a chord progression. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't think we had a full progression there. I think we were just bouncing back and forth between two chords. We were in the middle of an idea though. Like that just did not seem like the end. It felt like we should have had two more bars at least. Wild way to end it. It just stops. So this was wild. Well, let me just go through a little bit of what I was hearing throughout this. The song kicks off and it's straight up Americana. This is some American folk music right here. We got some country stuff in here too. We have something that sounds like a harmonica. We have these long bends on an acoustic guitar, really setting the stage for this. There's a little hint of an electric guitar in here as well, but it comes and goes rather quickly. We won't hear the electric guitar until quite a bit later, but I think it was nice foreshadowing it here. There's a lot of ornamental ideas popping up around this, around the core chord progression that we have from the main acoustic guitar here. And so we have foundation, we have a little bit of rhythm, and then a lot of ornamental ideas, but all of it really cementing this country western kind of vibe going on. And out of this comes not just, I don't know what language it is, but I'm pretty sure it is a language spoken in India, but also the rhythmic delivery of the vocals here and how they go about not just the pitches themselves, but how they move into the pitch and come out of it. Very Indian delivery. And I thought this was pretty cool because totally unexpected given the atmosphere and the background that they're setting here. Now we begin to add more layers here, more guitars, we have the more harmonica, we begin adding even more harmonic layers, more chords, a couple of ornamental ideas still, but nothing really in the realm of melody. We begin incorporating drums in here as well, and the vocals come back. They're not in English, but they are using more of a Western style of delivery. We've kind of moved away from again, the intricacies of how notes are moved into and out of. We move away from an Indian style to a Western style of delivery here. And it begins to take on something that feels more akin to a Western song. And I was like, okay, so what was that intro? This song acts as a slow burn. We will continue to add more and more layers on here. I don't believe we really switched anything up other than one time around like the 3-minute mark when we began to build up the outro of the song. There might have been a verse-chorus format somehow in the music that wasn't really replicated in the lyrics, but to me it feels like building up an A section, cutting down to about halfway, and then building up the B section, and that took us out of the song. But yeah, then we eventually added an accordion, which was a bizarre thing. Was not expecting that. And then, of course, the electric guitar comes in, and we get a little bit of a solo, just a lead melody from that. And then we get very Indian-style vocal delivery again with something that feels a bit more off the cuff, maybe improvised, maybe not. And I really enjoyed how all of this comes together. We also have some hand drums in here. I'm not sure what region or culture the drums specifically come from, but to me they sound a bit more Asian, which I thought was pretty cool, adding more of these elements into the track, continuing to showcase this Western versus Eastern idea, not just in the composition, but in the timbres of the instruments we have on display. Now, so far I have primarily spoken about the song in composition and timbre, but there is one other key element to this that I want to focus on real quick, is where the song eventually ends up going, which is the final section that feels very theatrical. It's kind of larger than life. We have this big choir of voices going on in the background. There's so many layers. It just feels really big. But what I want to focus on is that choir in the background and the vastness, the boomingness of it. It could just be that we were capturing the acoustics of the room where it was recorded and there were that many voices. But to me, for whatever reason, it sounds like there's been reverb added to that part, which I want to bring in this element of production. So much of this feels like it is just a recording of a stage performance. Until I start interrogating sound staging, where instruments are placed in the mix, how they sound in relationship to each other, any sort of size or auditory scope of the sound sphere, this is where it really begins to feel like a studio recording. And I would wager that this probably was a studio recording based on how everything's produced. And I find this to be really cool, because at first glance, I thought this was just a live recording. And the reverb at the end kind of helps to sell that a little bit. It wasn't until I started paying attention to it that I realized it was more studio than live. And I don't know any song that's really tricked me in that way before. So I find that really fascinating that somehow some part of the production feels like it's live mics on a stage with this performance going on. I don't know what part of the production that is, but the producer did a really great job of that. Whatever aspect, whatever choices they made to lead towards this, they did a fantastic job with it. And I absolutely love that. It wasn't really until the end when we hit that reverb on the vocals, though, that kind of solidified it for me. I was like, okay, this is definitely a studio recording. This is definitely post-production reverb put on it. But it still sounds cool. It makes the song, which started out super intimate and small and very few layers, into this big bombastic ending. It kind of, it amps you up. I don't know what they were singing about, but it felt good to listen to. It also had a positive vibe to it. If the song was about some sort of unity or coming together or something, they absolutely nailed that feeling in the composition and the delivery, both in the performance itself and the production of said performance. It all comes together into something that I think it's really difficult not to have a smile on your face once we get to that final section. It sounds so good. Um, but I think that's really about it. I mean, there's so many things I can talk about regarding minute aspects. You know, did you hear this one instrument? Did you hear this part? You know, what about the way that they used the two kinds of drums? We had the sort of, I don't know what kind of brushes they were. They didn't feel like steel brushes, so maybe it was like a bundle of sticks or wood or something like that. I don't know if that has a particular name. You just take a lot of loosely, it's like, it turns out to be a stick once you've bundled it all together. But you just bind a bunch of wood together, uniformly shaped wood, and you can use that, and it just has a much lighter hit than a drumstick would, a solid drumstick. but it didn't have the lightness of of steel brushes. So I don't know what they were using, but it was not a drumstick, much lighter than that, and something about it felt separated. So it wasn't like they were using a fuzzy mallet. I'm not sure what was going on with that snare, but very cool texture. But we also had these hand drums off to the side too. Once again, mixing something more Western with something more Eastern, bringing it together. And I just really love how all these timbres ended up working together. Um, and again, it's like, it's little things. I don't think it's anything that can help somebody understand the song in any way. I don't have some profound idea of what the song is trying to say or anything like that. Mostly because I was just really enjoying myself listening to it. I kind of took a bit more of a casual turn with this. Um, but also secondarily because it kind of feels like a folk song. We have an A section and a B section. Usually in Americana, we'll bounce back and forth between those in shorter spurts, making it feel a bit more like modern structure. Verse, chorus. Usually your verse and your chorus are a bit shorter, 30 to 40 seconds each, that kind of idea. Here, though, we split the song in half basically. Start with the A section and then move to the B, and then we just wrap the song up. But neither one of them really feel like anything beyond the stereotype, if that makes sense. The intro feels like a country song to me. It feels like an Americana song to me. I don't really have an emotion tied to that, just the general vastness that Americana tends to employ, but I don't have an emotion tied to that. The ending just feels bombastic. I don't have a way to piece a story together based off of this. I feel like I need more parts in order to fully take it in. So in a sense, maybe this is all they were going for, trying to marry these two sides without really telling a story, just finding out what kind of sounds are created when you put these two genres together. But also on that same page, while there is a lot of combining of influences here, the structure itself definitely feels very Western. In fact, even the length feels Western. Um, and the fact that a lot of it is most likely pre-composed too. So there's a lot of cool things coming together here, but as far as, again, profound analysis, I don't think I have any for this. I do want to see if I can find some lyrics though. I don't know if I'll be successful in that search, but I'm hoping I can find something and maybe tie all this together into something a bit higher level other than just me saying, hey, there's a lot of cool stuff going on in here. So let's see what I can do with that. Alright, so to start, first of all, I was in the right region, but the wrong country. It does remind me compositionally of Indian music, but technically he was from Pakistan. So I suppose this would be a combination of Pakistani music and Western or Americana. But I don't think I've ever heard Pakistani music, so this was kind of a treat. But it does remind me a lot of Indian, and now I want to listen to some of that music from both regions, traditional folk music of both regions, and kind of see if I can find some differences between them, because I don't really hear any differences from this, but this was also a bit of a different thing as it wasn't pure Pakistani music. Um, but anyways, so, definitely I'm corrected there. And if you have any extra information about the instruments used here, or maybe the composition, what kind of styles are smashed together, I'm not super well versed in music from that region. I am working on getting more knowledge about it. So if you have anything to add to it that I can learn from, please let me know in the comments. As for the lyrics, this is a song about being depressed when you're away from your loved one, which I would never have got from the music. The country vibe kind of goes with that a little bit. The Americana stuff has a lot of feelings of longing in it, and of course, the name of the song is Longing, but as the song goes on and more layers are added, this feeling is further and further divorced from the music. There aren't a lot of lyrics. There's many lines repeated over and over. But some of the things that get repeated often are "My heart does not find peace without you." Your memories haunt me, or your memories keep me up at night. Some variation of that translation. And that's about it. Those two lines are repeated so often. And it's about feeling this pain when you're away from the person you love. Which, again, just I would never have picked that up from the music. I just got done talking about how it ends on this massive bombastic note that feels so good to listen to. It puts a smile on your face. And that's the point of the song, where he's continuously singing over and over and over, "My heart does not find peace without you," which, I mean, could be a positive thing to say to somebody, but given everything else in here and the fact that it's called Longing, I kind of get the feeling that the song is supposed to be about the feeling of sadness when you're away from somebody, not a way to tell somebody that you always want to be by their side. And one's definitely a bit more positive of a take on that phrase than the other based on context. So I don't know. Um, yeah, I'm very perplexed by that. The song just never gave me a feeling about anything like these lyrics. And, that's fine too. Music and lyrics don't always have to line up and support each other. There's some really cool stuff you can do by showcasing an opposite emotion in one part of your song than the other. But I always find it bizarre when I listen to a song that just makes me happy, and then I read the lyrics, I'm like, oh, how does that happen? Oh, jeez. Yeah, so these are my thoughts on Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan's and Michael, what's his name? Michael Brook's Longing. Let me know what you thought of this track. If there's anything that stood out to you, anything you'd like to add on to what I said or correct me on, if you just have any additional information about any of the questions I posed in here, I'm open to learn. Like I said, this is an area of music I don't have a lot of experience with nor knowledge about, but I would like to. Um, yeah, put all this stuff down in the comment section. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. It takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. Alright, that wraps it up for this one. We do have some brand new music next. We're checking out some metal song that came out last week or something. Anyways, it sounded interesting, so we're gonna look at it. Oh yeah. Otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC. As usual, we're gonna check out a full album. Sunday, we have a live stream at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. UTC, and then there will be no videos for 2 weeks. I'll be taking my biannual internet detox. Just little vacation here to refresh and regenerate and get back into the swing of things. Alright, until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.